Welcome to Legacy Cast, where we talk about your story, your way, and what are you doing to make sure that people know about you many generations from now. Welcome, Legacy Cast listeners. This is your host, James Snow, with the program Legacy Cast, where we talk to people about what their story is. They're telling their story their way so that the generations many from now will be able to know that they lived, what they cared about, what they were passionate about, and what they did that was going to make a difference in the world. I have two gentlemen with me today that are our guests, Marc Palumbo and Travis Kruciak. And I'd like to welcome both of them to the program. This is the first time I've actually had a three-way thing going here, so this is kind of fun. Welcome, guys.
Well, thank you, James, for having us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So as I understand it, you two are I guess, business partners with your venture?
Yes, we started a business called Warrior Fortitude. It's leadership development for aspiring managers or entry-level managers. Pretty much we put together a program that basically just helps people understand leadership from some old school traits, new school traits, some stuff that we came up with when we led together. And we think it'd be beneficial. So beneficial to know, give structure to an organization, growth, connection, loyalty, all of those principles that we based our leadership on.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you both paramilitary?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah. So we did Navy K-9 I did for 6 years. Mark did it for, what was it, Mark, 9?
Yeah, about 9.5 years was my time in the Navy.
Outstanding. Yeah, I was noticing, looks like Travis has a Frogman logo on your shirt. Were you a SEAL team?
No, we're not. This is actually my brother's shirt.
Okay.
But we had the privilege of working with some special programs people, and we're very blessed to be in their presence. We learned a lot of great deal from them, but we were never special ops ourselves or anything like that.
Okay. Well, as the program name implies, with Legacy Cast, I talk to people about what they're doing to build their legacy. And a lot of people, when they first hear that, their first impression is going to be that it's all about money. But actually, I go a lot deeper than that. And the reason I do that is because, to me, a person's legacy is about more than just the monetary things. It's what are you doing that's going to pass on something, maybe to your children or through your business, that makes a difference in the world. And really, we're created to, we're endowed by our Creator with certain gifts, and those gifts should be, in my personal opinion, should be used to better society. And when we enlisted, all three of us are veterans here, so we kind of get this side of it. Is we signed up for something much bigger than ourselves. And we wanted to be part of something bigger. And that really is kind of the true definition, to me at least, of what a legacy is something bigger than yourself that can be built upon. So what do you guys kind of think that it means to you?
So for us, I mean, legacy is everything. When we were in the kennel together, that's what we're trying to do every single day. It was trying to break the barriers of certain things that were just unheard of. Our training methods, our leadership style, the way we approach training. A big thing for us was always to ask the perspective of how people, perceive information, understand information, how they learn. I think was like the hugest thing for us. So with that being said, is like, you go into school and everything, and, even when you start out in the military, everything is a test, a book, but it doesn't grab everyone. Mm-hmm. Not everybody understands information that way. So what we did was, and I think everybody should do is find out how somebody learns, and so they can be a creator. They can be part of the team as well. So that was our biggest thing, was always finding how to get the information to somebody and just not looking at one parallel path to getting them to understand concepts, help them be creative, help them understand what talents they brought to the team. And in using these methods, it was greatly beneficial to us. People didn't have such closed-mindedness towards training, towards helping the team. And, kind of our biggest thing is just to open up open up the mind and go inside a little bit, go internal, see what stuff might be blocking you from exploring things. And that was pretty much our passion, was to tap into that. You know, if we tapped into that in everybody, and not isolate potential and grew potential, and you know, the result to us wasn't like you were saying about money. It wasn't about money. It was just to get the best out of the team, regardless. You know, so I don't know if Trav wants to add to that.
Yeah, just tagging along with what Mark said. You know, we showed we're very passionate about what we do, and we love it. We get a thrill out of it, and coming from that was our people knew we cared about them, so they listened to it. They're more inclined to listen to what we were saying rather than, you know, shun us out or anything like that. And through our care and through our passion, we created, you know, these amazing teams, amazing philosophies, amazing theories, and it was really beneficial. We made it work.
Outstanding. So now, as far as the legacy concept, do you feel like that's something that's important for people to incorporate into their, not only their daily lives, but also their business lives?
Yes. I mean, if you need something that inspires you to move forward. So, you know, in business or anything like that, you need to set goals. You have to have a vision. And the biggest thing is you need to communicate that vision to the people around you. If you're able to do that and you get people's buy-in, you know, and you hold them to a standard in your business of the legacy that you're trying to leave. But that's like the hugest thing is you're going to have those ups and down moments with that, because as you're creating this legacy and it's becoming something, you know, it takes a lot of rules, principles, values, and understanding of what you're trying to do.
Sure.
And consistently putting that vision and remembering what we're doing, because we do become complacent. So in the business world, it's you know, I find that certain people have a vision and they want perfection, and you can see their drive. You know, they want it all, but then there's just those people that just, you know, they just come to get a check. They come in. So how you're going to get I think that's the biggest thing that people are trying to figure out is how do you get everybody connected to your legacy? You know, how do you get people to perform what you see in your mind? And it really comes down to that connection with that person and you know, tapping into themselves in unique and unconventional ways. That, yeah, for some people it might be uncomfortable, but, you know, we wanted to learn as much as we could from our employees, and that, you know, this way we knew more information, and maybe they had something we didn't, you know, that we were missing. Maybe we were so lost in our vision that we totally forgot about something. So it's always using the team's benefit to your legacy. They're the hugest part of it. It's not just self. So
Sure. So how did you guys correlate that into your business? Since, you know, we're kind of talking about that.
So pretty much what we did in our business is pretty much we put together a playbook of philosophies, methodologies that we used. So pretty much that's what holds us consistent to a vision. You know, our vision is to get people, you know, that, you know, we see trends out there that people with management have trouble, you know, communicating these things, or frustration is mounting, micromanaging is happening, just a lot of things out there right now. And people are skeptically trying to say, hey, it's contributed to this or that or whatever. But you know, that our mission is to keep it straight, simple, to the point. You know, using our training skills and what we found value in our methodologies and foundation was vital to what keeps us going. You know, it's our fuel, it's our energy. It gives us a perspective, vision, drive. You know, people talk about drive all the time. It comes and goes. And, you know, if you don't have a clear vision with goals and then micro goals underneath that, and you just don't have it laid out properly, and you're not chasing something, you know, that's what this is our passion, and we want other people to be passionate about leadership as well.
Yeah, you're mentioning the playbook that you guys have. So it sounds like for you, it's really important that people have some sort of a strategy, you know, a playbook of their own, so to speak, as far as, you know, how they do their business and maybe even in their own personal life as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Go ahead, Trav. You go. I've talked
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely, man. Like, I think, no, like Mark said, you got to have goals, you got to have a vision, and that not only applies to a business aspect but a personal aspect. You know, like both me and Mark, we talk every day, and we like to know where we're going. I have a daily planner. And it's not directed to a T, you know, at 10:30 you're going to be doing this, but it lays out a list. And if I get everything done off that list that day, my goal is accomplished, because I know those little things are tacking up to a big thing. Maybe at the end of the week, maybe at the end of the month, maybe at the end of the year, but it's the same for business as well. And I think it applies even more so when you're trying to incorporate that vision into a team, because if you're just kind of going through the motions, if you don't have a strategy, one day you might get lost, and then your team might get confused. They start questioning you. But if you have a strategy and a vision, then you're more likely to be aligned, at least on a constant level. You know, everyone's got their ups and downs.
Sure.
But that's when you're honest and transparent. You just say, hey, man, I'm having a rough day. Just give me 10 minutes. Bear with me here. Regain your ground, regain your strategy, and move forward.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys were to kind of look at your business and its future, you know, we'll kind of take it from the CEO standpoint here. What would you say maybe some of the things are that you guys are concerned about, or maybe keep you up at night, so to speak? Are there some of those?
Well, you know, it doesn't really, you know, keeping us up at night. I mean, yeah, obviously we want to get into the game, and we want to make a difference in these companies. So, you know, the process is just showing that this process works through, which we know that it does. So implementing the playbook, you know, into what's going on right now. You just have to look at strictly what's going on right now with management. I've seen numerous YouTube videos of I quit like movement, micromanaging, just pretty much what's going on. And which we want to show is that, you know, we are millennials. And I keep hearing all this stuff, you know, that millennials are, you know, it's just because of what we grew up, or the tech age or whatever, and we don't know how to communicate, we don't know how to lead, and there's just this huge gap that's going on. That's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to show that you can change at any moment. There was plenty of times where we had to change and look inside of ourselves, and be transparent, like Trav was saying, to grow and to adapt and understand that, you know, we can learn from each other. It doesn't have to be divided, or, you know, the old ways and the new ways. And you just, you know, you can be humble, you can grow, you can learn from anything. And that's pretty much what we take from every single day, is that doesn't, you know, any knowledge is good knowledge. So.
Yeah, that's something that, you know, I've obviously learned, because, you know, I'm a generation ahead of you guys. You know, I'm, you know, Gen X. So, you know, I've learned that, you know, there are differences between the different generations, and you know, how you interact with them is going to be key, because you guys bring something to the table that people perhaps in my generation or the generation before don't bring to the table. And so, you know, how you approach things is going to be very different.
Yep. And you know what? And that's just the thing, is I think there's just a lot of line drawing going on that kind of keeps, like, oh, I'm, you know, I hear it with people that are, you know, older than me, just saying, I can never learn that, or I can never apply that. There's stuff that I do today that, you know, these kids are, you know, more advanced than me, you know, and I have to keep up. I have to learn. I have to figure out ways and strategies to get the information that I need to be successful, and not, you know, close off my mind because of a certain time. You know, it's not going to get any easier out there. You have to learn. And you have to make people want to understand you as well, and understand, you know, I think we just get so caught up in that really quickly, to shut off, knowledge or information that's being passed just because of the source. Like, that you just can't do that. It's not what's going to bring everything together, and it's not what's going to make the team successful. It's just not going to happen until that starts to eradicate a little bit.
Yeah, and generation gap is not a new invention. It's happened for centuries and centuries and millennia before us. It isn't something that just happened right now. We're not the first age of 3-4 different generations that have a generation gap. This has always existed, and it's just how you deal with it. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what do you think? Maybe some of the reasons are that new entrepreneurs are failing or giving up when they're trying to start a business. What have you seen?
Well, I mean, it's complicated because it comes back to the communication point. I've seen entrepreneurs out there great with social media, great with the technology side of it, but then when it goes out there, going to your local BNIs, going to your local groups, and doing this, they're kind of held back. They don't know how to approach. They don't know how to communicate effectively. And, how are you going to make somebody, if you can't influence somebody, if you can't communicate effectively, then it's just not going to work. You can put up all the social media posts and the 10X rule or whatever, and put out all this great content. But if you can't talk to people about what your passion is and get the buy-in from that, and then also the mental stress. I think that we're just at a point in time. I'm not somebody who's sitting here saying, "Oh, I had all this mental toughness," and it was a long time to get that belief in myself to keep moving forward. The structure, the planning, the mind is a very crazy, dynamic part of your success. So if you cannot control what the thoughts are in your mind that are telling you to move forward, and not block things out and get over things, and I think that's a huge thing. Is people just the technology is great, but it can over complex the vision and throw too many stuff at you. And I've that's pretty much where I'm at with it, because even on social media, I don't know how many news feeds pop up with different information or conflicting information that can throw you off your path if you just get lost in it. So
it's like Mark said, like there's so much out there, and I think it's people, and it's complicated. I don't believe that there's one direct reason. Maybe some people had it easier and they think they could start a business. Maybe some people had it harder. They think they could start a business. Whatever they do, wish them all great success. But there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of content, social media, YouTube, everything like that kind of pulls you in different directions. I can't tell you how many times I've watched one video. I'm like, oh, that's really good. And then I'll watch another video saying something completely different. And it's like, oh, okay, it really gets you thinking. So if you don't have, it's like Mark said, it falls back to the mentality, I think. There are times when me and Mark would kind of look at each other and do a shoulder shrug and throw our hands up and be like, yo, man, I don't know. And then it's kind of like an adapt or die mindset. We had to adapt. We had to figure it out, not only so we could answer it, but so our team could perform it, or we could have the answers for our team, or we had other people looking up to us for the answers, more of a driving force. And I think we're not the only ones out there who are looking for answers when they look towards management or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that kind of leads me to my next line of thinking here is what are some of the roadblocks and resources? It's sort of the two opposite sides of the coin here. Roadblocks that people should look out for, and then resources that people should be looking for in order to succeed.
Well, roadblocks are going to come up when you least expect it. We've hit many of blocks of people trying to pitch us things and send us down avenues that were just rabbit holes. And if you get into too many rabbit holes, like you're you're going to spend your time getting out of those rabbit holes by the time you see any sort of success.
Sure.
So definitely keep your team small, trust your team, trust what you're doing. Stay to who you are. Like, that's it. Whatever you're trying to do and whatever message you're trying to get across, or product or whatever it is, stay to what you're doing, and make sure that you have people around you that believe it. The best resources that you can go find for us being veterans is other veterans that are successful as being on this show. Yeah. That's our community. We keep that honest and helpful approach to each other, and we don't sugarcoat things. We're straightforward, and that's the best resource you can get. Sure. Other people just trying to sell you a product that is meaningless, or it's an easy, quick fix for a lot of money. That's not going to get you where you need to be. That's not our philosophy. It takes small little steps, little jabs to move forward. If you try and look for the shortcut, it's never going to work.
Yeah, and that's something, in my world, I'm a finance guy, so that's something in my world. People try to look for the get rich quick idea, and it never works. There really is no get rich quick idea that's legal that I know of.
It's like you said too, James, in the beginning. Our creator has a plan, and I think with any plan, there's no easy road. There's hard work, there's dedication. You're going to be tested. You're going to be put in situations that make you question yourself, but it makes the end goal that much more worthwhile when you do reach that point, whether it's business, finances, life goals, whatever the case. I think that's definitely a universal platform to apply to.
We're kind of in a unique time, especially here, I guess, 2018 now, that, we've seen a lot of business owners that they're starting to inject their belief systems, personal beliefs, value systems, faith beliefs into their business. How do you guys handle that within what you do?
I would say, that's just something of their preference. It all depends on the company and everything like that. We're not trying to put any sort of belief system on anybody. We're trying to get them to believe in themselves and bring the best of themselves out. And when we go back to our team, we had people from all diverse places and all over the place. I mean, look at me and Travis. I'm from New Jersey and he's from Texas, and we found a way for it to work. I think forcing anything on anybody can be difficult, especially if it doesn't align with their value system.
Sure.
So you have to be careful with that. Mm-hmm. You value the person, not the biggest thing that I saw when I was leading was putting other people's values in front of my own. If you can do that and understand another person's perspective before your own, you'll be successful. Because you create that connection of understanding. And when you create that connection of understanding, that person is willing to do more for you. But when you try to be controlling
sure.
of their values, it's not going to work. It's going to cause the person to it's going to cause frustration. It can either cause fear, where the person doesn't want to speak up now because maybe your values are just so intense that anything that goes against your beliefs or your values, it's just going to cause for chaos. So why bring that on your day, or why put a target on your back? We need to, in my opinion, that's the worst thing that I believe you can do is put your values in front of somebody else's. So.
Yep. So what is something that you guys have learned over the course of the years that you did not do previous that you probably wish you would have? Some of those regret kind of situations.
You want to take that one, Trav?
I don't really believe in, to me, regret. If you say you regret something, it means you didn't learn from it. So it's falling back to the personal belief, and that's different for everyone. But that's kind of the different perspective I kind of offer when it comes to regret. But I would say initial response. Me and Mark kind of mastered that, the ability to be empathetic and put ourselves in someone else's shoes before we look at that person and judge. Why the hell did he do that? We want to understand the situation from the other person's perspective, and then try to use our own insights to maybe help that person out or something like that. So that's kind of the only thing I have to offer is in the beginning, if I would have learned to be more empathetic a lot quicker, I probably could have raised a little less hell and maybe made a few more things work.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I can see you look like a troublemaker there, bud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got that you got the hair thing going on. I have a hair envy thing going. So
yeah.
So it's kind of in our blood, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that hair.
So what hurdles did you guys kind of encounter? Since we're all paramilitary, in that transition stage, transitioning from the service into civilian world and then into entrepreneurial world. What were some of those hurdles that you had to overcome?
Well, obviously it was a big, we were working at we were trying to achieve something. We were very passionate about it. We're trying to make change. So we were driven towards that. And when you just shut that drive off, and then you come back to, a society where it's a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of complaining, a lot of finger pointing, a lot where we just didn't do that. We got the job done regardless of who it was with or whatever. We just learned to get it done. So we were kind of pushed, both of us, into, the typical warehouse jobs, that are pushed to military.
Yeah.
And both of us ended up there and we were isolated. We had, it was very difficult for us. We were respectful and patient at first, and we were trying to show, it's operation. It's the same. You can apply any operational skill that is mastered. You can apply it to anything. And that's what we were trying to bring, regardless of, okay, we got to work warehouse jobs, whatever. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't, our potential was just limited, and we were constantly challenged to stop moving at such a quick pace, or stop. You obviously couldn't understand that, using these terms of, we come from military environments that are disciplined, and this is not discipline. To me, that's like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Putting those types of limitations on somebody or anything, or assumption, let's put it that way. You act like we're just people. That's it. We're just people, Yeah, maybe we have some values or core values that we bring from the military that make us a little bit more disciplined towards certain things, but we understand that that's to achieve something, that you have to have some of those disciplines, and they're just beneficial to you. But, trying to say that we're a certain way or we act a certain way and we just don't understand them, that's drawing a hard line for me. How are we supposed to relate and work together if this line is drawn? And it just became, to me, and I don't know, Travis can speak for himself, but this line was drawn, and no matter what could be said or trying to work with people in a professional manner and just trying to get past these hurdles that we, just seem to be holding us in two different categories. It was very challenging. The mind, how people's minds are just made up before you even say anything. Or it's crazy to me. Like, I don't know how you live that way. I try to understand everybody, and Trav, you can share your story about that, but that's what led us and the stories to start doing leadership, because it just became a huge part of what everyone was telling us. I saw leadership inside these warehouses, how they treated people, the yelling, the screaming, the overreacting, everything. It's not an environment for success. Let's just put it that way.
It's with me, it was devaluing potential. So, you know, both me and Mark, we know our value. We know what we're worth. We know what we're capable of.
Sure.
And honestly, if we're not capable of it, we'll figure it out. We'll back to the adapt or die mindset. We'll figure it out, and we'll do our best to rock it. But the same thing, you know, in the warehouse job, I would go out. They'd say, "Hey, do this, learn this. It'll take you 2 weeks." I said, "Okay, 2 weeks, you know, fine, cool, challenge accepted." Come back 3 days later, and I got it down pat, you know, and instead of, and we're all courteous, you know, like Mark said, we try to understand other people, but over the point when you're trying to show that, hey, this is easy, give me more. And then I would tell them straight up, you know, hey, give me more, put more on me. I want to work. I want to provide value. I want to make, you know, this place grow. They would say, hey, man, slow down. And I would say, what? Yeah. Huh? You know, so it was one of those things. Instead of seeing, hey, okay, let's give this guy a shot, they would say, hey, man, you're starting to outshine the social norms. You don't think like we do. You don't take the time that we do. And, you know, you gotta hold yourself back pretty much. So that's something where I drew the line. I refuse to do that. I'm going to grow, not necessarily as quick as I can. I'm going to learn the information. But when you have passion, when you're motivated, and when you're trying to prove a point or have an end goal, you're going to get there. And if that passion lights up, man, you'd be amazed what you can learn and how quickly you can learn it. And, you know, people get envious, or, you know, they see something against social norms or envy or whatever the case may be. And they kind of push back against you instead of working with you and
Sure.
kind of learning from you. So that's where me and Mark, we kind of, you know, in our own separate ways, but kind of the same, we drew the line. And over the course of time, we said, hey, you know what? Let's put our value together and let's push it to the world, and not try to change everything, but just offer a different perspective, offer solutions, offer insight that is different, but very, very valuable and helpful.
So is this something that for you guys was obvious, or you sort of stumble upon that over time? This solution?
Well, we basically, of course, when you're lost in it, you're coming up with these methodologies, and you're learning as you're going, and you're seeing what works and what doesn't work. I think anybody that's trying to accomplish something and it has such drive towards it, you know, that, you know, when we were trying to accomplish this was not an easy task. Let's put it that way. We were doing a lot of different things that were questioned. And when your question becomes, you know, there's the challenge all in itself. They'll throw everything but the kitchen sink at you to stop something that's abnormal.
Absolutely.
So that's what we were dealing with. We were dealing with, you know, a lot of adversity, a lot of challenge, and we were coming up with these different techniques to, you know, one was our think-a-thon, which was in the morning we would get up, you know, early, 4 a.m. We go for a workout, and we just we think about the day, you know, before we would kind of have this moment to go inside the mind and be clear on what we wanted to do and what we wanted to accomplish, and also self-evaluation of ourselves. And everyone keeps talking about that too, is how do you self-evaluate yourself? Well, you just got to look at what the goal is and how close are you to getting that, and how much time did you allow yourself to get to that goal and where you're at. So those little things helped us, you know, make this kind of, basically it was our book, the playbook of methodologies that we just kept talking to each other. When, you know, when we were in these situations, we kept calling each other, being like, yo, remember this? And, you know, we just kept talking about it. And we were just trying to figure out the key points of what was our success, what was our ritual, what was our process, and how did everybody win? Was it me? Was it you? Was it the system? I don't know. We were just trying to figure it out. what the mechanics were to that. And then eventually it just led to, you know, all right, this is obviously a problem. We feel that we have some sort of baseline of a solution. We know that we have a concrete foundation in this playbook that if it's used properly for any manager that wants to step into a management role, you know, that coming in as a tyrant and screaming at your people, you know, that I'm the boss is not the best philosophy. You need to come in with a structured plan, understand everybody, respect everybody, and have your own values of the team, not yourself.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I've heard that described as being the difference between a boss and a leader. Is, you know, bosses will just come in and dictate, and a leader will actually show you how to get to that solution.
Yeah, well, bosses, you know, they work in a control state of mind.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't do anything for anybody, because you're adding so much fear and anxiety and stress that's unneeded when you're trying to control someone. We don't like to be told what to do. Number one, like I don't think anybody likes to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to. Yeah, I know you don't, Trav. So, but you know, it's always going to be met with judgment of yourself and your values, and you're gonna, you know. But if you just say, if you ask the questions, I think that's where we've gotten so far off, is that we just want to. So many bosses just want to prove their dominance right away, that they're the boss, and that's the way it's going to be, and almost set the team up for failure, because that leader might have a great idea that's going to lead them, but because they want to push their control, they will actually they will switch the dynamics of what the plan was to fit the opposite, and make the team fail, and then starts, you know, reprimanding people that you know, they didn't play out their vision. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to trust what they're doing. It win or fail, and that's what failure. There's pre-planned failure, and then there's failure. Okay.
Yep.
Failure is that you put the believability in the team to carry out something, and we all take ownership of it because it's something new. We're trying. Pre-planned failure is just what I said. If you're going to control the situation and you're going to control everything about it, everybody's isolated. There's isolation going on, and where people might feel comfortable in certain aspects, they're not going to feel comfortable in other aspects. And that's just not going to lead to the 100% win that you want. And I think a bunch of organizations are trying to figure this one out. They're trying to figure out, how do I get 100% of the team? And they make you watch the online training and everything, and it sounds all good. But to that person who's a control freak, it goes in one ear and out the other. And they go right out there, and they just, you know, and trust me, they'll talk themselves up to the upper management to tell them how great they are. And, you know, the thing that probably drives me the most crazy is like 3 or 4 people will get fired because of this person, until they realize that person is the key person that's causing the disturbance, you know, that's making the wrong choices. But for some reason, the tyrant doesn't have a problem selling himself to the upper management. They're great at that. So
yeah, I've seen it myself, actually, in a past life.
Yeah.
So when you guys were starting your business, kind of talk me through, you know, what did that look like when you were putting this together and creating the empire that you're working on?
So, you know, pretty much I got in touch with Trav, and, you know, he was kind of thinking of things to do, and you know, we just liked doing what we did. I think every day when you wake up with passion and talk to each other about, you know, oh, I learned this, or we can try this, or, you know, all these new methods, or maybe we can, you know, we always just found ourselves conversating about getting better and how to do things better. You know, putting together the playbook and starting from scratch there definitely had its little bit of you know, progress of what would work in the corporate world and what kind of works, in the military. Let's kind of leave some of that stuff out. Mm-hmm. But definitely it's been this past, what is it now, Trav? What is it, 2 months?
Yep, going on 2 months.
Yep. So, that's pretty much putting this all together, and then just finding the team of people that is going to benefit us, and finding the right people to network with, finding where your niche is, all of those things. So you have to find those things and concentrate on those things that is going to be most beneficial to you and your business. And focusing on things that are not going to be beneficial, or worrying about what other people are doing that might be in the same business field as you, you can't be concerned about that. I think there were some times where we found ourselves, getting lost in some noise, and going down, like I said, those avenues of Facebook ads and people telling you, this, that, and the other thing, and you have to do this and don't do that. People told us not to start with the book. They were like, don't do a book, don't do a book, don't do this, don't do that. Well, why not? That's what we are. That's what we use for our business. And if you don't like it, then go pay $10,000 to some guy on the internet, and he'll tell you exactly what to do. So
definitely a lot of adapting. Everyone runs into roadblocks. Everyone, questions themselves. But it's we took the confidence that we provided as leaders and put it into ourselves, and we just work together. Hey, here's this roadblock. All right, well, Mark, who do you know that we can talk to about this? Trav, who do you know that we can talk to about this? And it's just kind of working and mixing. It's like a puzzle piece, delicately putting things together to create this beautiful grand picture that, the picture's on the box. We already know what the end goal is. Mm-hmm. We're just putting the pieces together and slowly making it work and coming to life as we go. And falling back to the self-evaluation, when we see progress, it just juices us that much more. When we see a roadblock, we get to it, we do our own little think-a-thon, and then we go from there. Normally we find out the answers, get through it, and keep pressing.
Yeah, definitely. We stick to that philosophy. If if people are passionate about what you're doing, and if people are not passionate. And not everybody's going to like your idea. Otherwise, every idea on Facebook would have 100 million followers, because it all works. It doesn't all work. You play to what you bring to the table, and go with those people that show excitement of what you're doing and find it beneficial, so you can benefit them. I don't ever go, if I go up to a networking event, they're like, hey, we're looking for a health and fitness coach, I won't throw myself into the mix. Oh, well, I kind of know that. That's kind of this or whatever. Eventually I'm not going to be passionate about that. And that's going to show through on my reputation and who I am. So stick to who you are, stick with what you're good at. And, that passion will hit the people seeking that passion, and the other people, just, sorry, but you just can't do anything about that. You can't worry about that.
Yeah. So what compelled you guys to go in this particular direction for your business as opposed to something else? I mean, was there like a big aha moment that you decided this is the direction you wanted to go?
Yeah, I think it definitely came down to just talking to people, peers of ours that were working, and they're just like, geez, like the bosses today, like everybody was just dreading work. Everybody was just, complaining, upset, excuse making, that this was horrible and everything else. And then we kind of just looked at what was going on, the trends that were going on. Then when we dived in, mm-hmm. And we saw it firsthand, we were like, okay, like, and I don't blame all the bad managers out there. I'm not saying everybody's a bad manager. I think that it's a problem, mm-hmm. that everything is growing. There's such a growth going on and it's being put on facilities or places or organizations that don't have the capacity to do these. The growth is happening, but they just don't have time to play pickup. And the people want perfection, they want to win, but they're just stressed out of their mind. They just lost prioritizing what they need to do. They don't even know how to put together an objective anymore. It's just lost.
Sure.
So, we had a lot on our plate. So me and him talking together, that's why we decided to go with leadership, is that, we had a way of prioritizing our day and balancing our day and making sure that everybody lifted their weight. And if you're going to take all the burden of the day and not be transparent and not give a clear message every single day and put trust in your employees, then it's going to just be a bad day, and it's just going to keep continuing. So we just want to make sure that we get that out there, that to how to build an effective team, how to communicate effectively, how much people, what you're doing to people in general. We all have families, we all want to go home. And I think that was the biggest message you can take away from the military, is that we were always there for each other. And if something came up, family was first, and everyone was treated as family. And I think if you look at it that way, is that, we just want to get back to that generosity, that was shared,
Sure.
So.
It's putting care into your people and stuff like that. Not only did me and Mark, he's got his own niche, I've got mine, and together we work great. We can organize, implement, perform logistics, and then execute, and then have proper feedback through our own communication. And spreading that across the unit was amazing, because it almost expanded, not necessarily the mindset, but the way of operating that me and Mark had into, this team. And in a workplace where, you shout over to Mike, and you're like, hey, Mike, and he's in his own little world doing his own little thing. You kind of have to slap a desk a few times or something. What was amazing was we created this environment where we were all in the same world, so you could reach over and be like, hey, Josh, and he pops right up. He's listening. He's probably thinking the same thing you are, and trying to form a plan and all that. So it was not only how me and Mark operated, but how we were able to successfully influence that into our team through care and respect and generosity and everything just you should do as a good person. We didn't let a certain rank or a certain title really go to our head. And in fact, there was a few times where we had to step back and be like, okay, this is my title, but this is who I am. Which one am I going to live up to? And we both have very deep morals that we stand by.
Sure.
And, that was just implemented very, very well. And we're very confident that we can recreate that in any situation.
Mm-hmm. So other than what you guys are currently doing, would you say that there maybe is another career path that, if something happened and you were not doing this business, that you would go into?
Whew.
Mark?
I guess what our premise comes down to is life science or psychology. So I think that a leadership is all psychology. I think that's the heart of it. Is so many people miss those signs, those tall tale signs of somebody in distress or somebody on the break, and they just ignore it. And we've just become numb to certain things that, so definitely if I had to do a different career, it would definitely be in the psychology realm. But, I don't know about Trav, probably something with the dogs or something.
Dog wrestling. No, it's kind of the same thing. I love psychology, always learning about it, always trying, to look at things from a different perspective, and always asking why, to try and get a answer why people do the things. The same thing. How do you use, how do you take language out and use what you have, which is body language, tone of voice, certain disciplines that you can put into the dog to make you and this amazing asset work together. And that's always been kind of how we do it and how we've implemented it into people. So I think regardless of, whatever career that may be chosen, it's got to be deep in psychology or have a heavy mix of psychology in there, because otherwise I'm practically useless without that unless it's fighting or something.
Not going to be seeing you guys doing any pole dancing in the future, I hope.
No.
So what would you say your guys' biggest strengths are?
Trav?
I'd say empathy. We're very confident. We're not conceited about, we're not gonna look at someone and be like, oh, that guy, blah blah blah, like I'm sure we've all heard in the military and jobs, it happens everywhere. We tend to look at that and kind of shake our heads. So we're very confident and we have a lot of confidence in what we can do. But it's just empathy is probably the biggest thing. We both have very, very good backgrounds. I was raised by my dad. He was a Marine Corps Vietnam recon. And no one in the military scared me as much as my own father did. So definitely a lot of good morals, a lot of good traits, a lot of those deep Southern traditions are ingrained in me, and Mark grew up with very good people. He was around a lot of very successful, but humble people. He had people show him, yes, you can have all these things, but don't lose sight of who you are and don't lose a common touch. So there's definitely a lot of good traits that we have, and we're just trying to share it and use it to our advantage to create more of that in other people.
And the flip side of that question is, the obvious one is, what would you say maybe is your greatest weaknesses?
I would say, for us with weaknesses and stuff like that, it's just, for me personally, it's just, about work and family balance has always been a problem with mine. When I get devoted to something, I'm locked in, I'm 100% in it. And, self-evaluation of that throughout my military career, you realize a lot of things, a lot of things you miss, a lot of things you don't get to be a part of.
Sure.
And, if you don't find that proper balance in your life of when it's time to shut it off and turn it on, and that takes practice, if you're, it's not something that comes over and it might come right in your face. Sometimes it's too late for people. I don't know how many people I saw just divorce papers, and it's just like they just became so wrapped up in it that they just forgot about everything, and they're just taking, so being self-aware of that, that for me, finding that balance, when it's time to have time with my family and time for business is something that I always work on.
Yeah.
My thing was patience, just learning to, not things. If you operate in good faith, things will come as in good timing. But sometimes that good timing ain't my decision, So a lot of people want things now, and they get lost in the why don't I have. Whereas I've learned through patience to ask, okay, what do I need to do, or what do I need to stop doing in order to get what I want? And in good timing, it normally always comes.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I also, Travis, suffer from that patience thing. I like to have what I want when I want it, and
definitely took a lot. But if you have the end goal and you're passionate, you can learn. Like I said, you'd be amazed at what you can learn.
Sure. So people tend to have a special place that they get their best ideas at. Where do you guys go to get your best ideas?
The gym.
Jim?
I think, yeah. I definitely think in the morning, like the Thinkathon, was kind of developed around the gym. It was always a place to go shut off and go just internalize everything. And it has to happen at the start of the day. If you start the day off and get your mind correctly on what the vision is of the day,
sure.
And get yourself into that mindset, and trust me, there are going to be days where you're just going to be like, oh, you're fighting it. It's just, I don't even know how to wrap my head around this, but that's pretty much where we get our start of the day. Is very early in the morning. It's very quiet. There's no noise going on. Everybody's still sleeping. And we just go into the mind. We just go in there. We get our mindset right. We get our objective set right, and then we just we go from there.
Hit the nail on the head.
So if you were to be talking to somebody that wanted to go perhaps in the direction that you guys have gone into, how would you describe your business at a very high level so that they have an idea what it is?
Well, so basically we are a leadership development company that, we basically teach workshops that teaches our process of leadership, but it's not leadership like you think. So every time leadership, comes in, or when I was through leadership, it's just like, it was very just straightforward. Leadership, just like make sure you write people up and make sure you this and hold people accountable. I didn't like that, because that to me just gave people like, oh, it's a power trip. It's something, I've got to be this certain way, or they get stuck in that tunnel vision. No, our type of leadership is to open up perspective of everybody and kind of come up with your own philosophy of what your strengths are and what your team's strengths are. Okay. How do you put that together? How does that mesh together? What is your expectation? What are your, and what, the accountability of the team? How is that going to work besides writing people up?
Sure.
You want to get it to an environment where everybody's, if you draw your vision big enough, mm-hmm. the team will hold itself accountable. You don't have to write everybody up every 5 minutes, because they all want to be part of something. And I think that's true with everything. It's fine. With our program, it's to open up that side of the human factor, as I call it, of understanding people's might have limitations, might have unlimited limitations, and understanding that balance between that. And basically looking at the cause and effect of leadership. You do certain things and you're not going to get a certain result. You do other things and you might get a better result. Being self-aware, being transparent with information, treating everyone equal. But it's not about all being in a disciplined manner of how you conquer and control. It's a whole different way of philosophies that we use, that we understand. Pretty much like we say, we go back to the psychology. We understood what just by human emotion and human factor, you can stop the progression of a team and not even know that you're doing it. You can totally set a team up just by your body gestures every day, the way you talk to them, what you say, what you don't say. Not giving clear messaging, all of these types of things. I think these are very important to an organization if you really want to have managers that stand out, that don't need, that learn how to prioritize things, eliminate stress from the workplace, and start off. That's why we say we target the entry level, because, sometimes when you get so far up the managerial ladder, it's very hard to sometimes bring some of these ideas and techniques in. So I think it'd be great for a first-time manager.
So kind of for a trivia question to wrap up our time this morning, what's something that that people don't know about you guys?
Go ahead, Trav.
Just in general?
Yeah.
I got a lot of secrets. You gotta specify here.
Cool. Yeah, just keep it clean. Keep it clean.
No. I'll just I'm actually a very quiet person. You know, my home life, I have when I'm out in public, I have the rowdy, you know, rambunctious kind of Texan mindset, really. And you know, I interact with people. I'm very excited to get out and talk to people. But once I walk through my front door, like right here, I'm in the little corner of my house. It's go time. You know, it's time to work on what I need to work on, do the things I need to do, and it's just me and my dog. You know, I don't play background music. I kind of really focus and try to incorporate deep work into there. And you know, a lot of people in my recent experience, you know, and kind of talking and learning more about myself, that kind of throws them off. You know, from what they see on the outside, they don't expect that. But it's you know, like Mark said, it's my way of kind of extending that think-a-thon. And you know, some people need a nap in the middle of the day to recharge themselves. I need to reevaluate my strategy, and that I've noticed it definitely sticks out to people around here.
Okay, is it my turn?
Yeah. Your turn, Mark. You're in the hot seat.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I suffered from anxiety most of my life. So I also had some learning disabilities when I was a child. So, you know, for me, you know, there was a lot of hurdles in that. And, you know, it's definitely not as bad, but, you know, that's what I'm saying is that we're not here to say that we don't have problems or we don't suffer from things. And, you know, that's my biggest thing was getting over those hurdles that I had to do. You know, I failed college 3 times before, you know, getting it right. It was very difficult for me, but until I learned, you know, how to go about things in a different way and what resources were available to me and ask the right questions. And I think that goes into leadership just in general, is that, you know, that's how I became successful is I thought I fit into a category. You know, I thought I was just, you know, I had these at such an early age. I was just told, you know, hey, this is what you are. You're going to go to a separate classroom, and this is how it's going to be. And I believe that for a very long time, very long time. And it took a long time for me to turn that around. And it took many attempts. So for anybody, you know, that feels that there's not a way to do something, or that's just the way that it is. And trust me, I still listen to people that knew me way back then. And remember that time? Remember that time you tripped? You know, they never want to get over that they don't allow you to change. And you know what? Just don't listen to it. You know, you change when you want to change. You're the only one that can find that information and find out what works for you. So, you know, that's a little something about me. So.
Excellent. So, you know, obviously people need to get a hold of you guys. So what's going to be the best way for them to reach out and get a hold of you, you know, hire you, bring you in?
Yep. So you can go to warriorfortitude.com and you can get in connection with us there, or you can go to warrior.fortitudellc@gmail.com if you want to email us at any time. And we're looking forward to hearing from everybody.
Excellent. Well, we've had a very exciting and very informational filled time here this morning. And so I appreciate Mark and Travis coming on here with the program and, you know, sharing a little bit about what they're doing with Warrior Fortitude and, you know, helping businesses, you know, get on to a better level, you know, be able to, you know, get their leadership right so that the corporation can be right. So I appreciate your time coming in here this morning.
Yes, thank you so much, James. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, James.
Sure. And we'll see you around the bend, guys.
All right.